With all four leagues in motion, we have news from the Great White North to the Australian Outback. All of this and a lot more on this week's episode of the Indie Ball Report podcast. We're back, episode number 323 of the Indie Ball Report podcast. We are truly international this week. We have news from 3 separate countries and 4 different leagues and across a bunch of different topics. What do you think of that?
I don't think at all. But I'm excited to be talking ball, man. 4 different leagues on the field, no previews, just reducing the amount of nightmare I have. It's great.
Isn't that nice? You know, not having to talk previews. Pioneer League going to get screwed in back-to-back episodes. Wild thing.
I mean, not necessarily. There's some interesting stuff in the Pioneer League. I'm going to have some thoughts.
They played 3 games. There's not many thoughts to be had so far.
I mean, Noko gave up a 40 spot across the first 2 games. It was crazy. And then they were crushing it. And then suddenly managed to choke away a win last night by giving up a bunch of runs late. So they have given up 50 runs in 3 games. Act like there's nothing to talk about right now.
There's nothing to talk about right now. Any event, we do actually have some news to get to before talking about every league, because they're all in motion now that we are at the end of May, and we're just going to be powering on through like this until, I guess, mid-September. So no more dead weeks. Hooray. Isn't that nice?
I guess. Oh my God, you're right. No, I didn't really buy into what you just said, and it occurred to me, oh my God, you're right.
Yeah, there's always going to be somebody either playing ball or something going on to talk about for the most part.
All right, let's go, bud. We're out here talking baseball.
Yeah,
living the dream. Living the dream.
And then it's either next week or the week after that we're going to start the in-season schedule for stuff too. So getting
right. Yeah. I think rankings next week, right?
Either next week or the week after, but yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I can't tell how calendars work. What are we doing?
Depends. Do we want to start them in May or start them in June?
I guess we're starting first week of June, right?
Yes.
And how do calendars work? Oh, wow. And it's like, I can't even be like, well, it depends when the week starts, because the 31st is literally a Saturday. Such an idiot. Oh, man.
Mm-hmm. Only the best on this program, folks. Only the best.
Man, do you think that Wiener had to drop out because of overheating or overeating?
We made a terrible mistake in trying to record this show during the Wiener 500, so be prepared for Wiener jokes.
Big pass for the win. The thing is, like, especially on a driving track like this, it's all about when you take your wiener out. And just really good instincts there. You can't take it out too early. You can't take it out too late. Certainly miss your opportunity. But boy, if you take it out too early, do people get mad? So
when we're talking and making wiener jokes here, would this be considered kitchen humor or bathroom humor?
Can I give a baseball topic here? I'm going to make this relevant to the episode, so you can't edit it out. Are you a hot dog at the ballpark guy?
Depending on the type of hot dog that's there. Like,
really? Oh, you're picky.
Yeah, I'm very picky when it comes to the type of dog.
Oh my God.
I'm not just putting any wiener in this mouth.
I won't even. We'll see about that, big dog. But I will get a hot dog from any park. I will, like, 100%. I will, like, let me preface that. I mean, at least once.
Yeah.
At least twice, if you know, try a wiener twice, friends. But
have a couple of brewskis.
Look, anyone can have a bad performance. Any wiener can have one bad performance, right? So you want to go to second shot.
Speak for yourself.
But I like, brother, don't get me started. We're not talking mini wieners. We're talking wieners.
Again, why are we talking about yours?
So, if you're ready to have a bun conversation, I'll let you know. But I am always about it. But, like, So there was a point where I was keeping like a ranking of like hot dogs that I've had at ballparks, and I should get back to that. Honestly, that's how I should do it. I should, because I'm going to get to every Atlantic League park at the minimum this year, but plus some Frontier League and American ones, hopefully. But definitely some Frontier, definitely all the American Atlantic.
Save Charleston
I
for the
really
end, otherwise you
want-
may have some problems.
Well, I'm willing to go to jail, so it's fine. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll start doing that. But I was gonna say, like, what's the deal breaker? Like, what is your general preference hot dog wise? Like, if you are picky about it.
So off the bat, and this is gonna be the hot take, Nathan's dogs are trash. We don't need those. Get that.
Oh,
crap
I can get on board with that. I
Yeah.
can get on board with that. Yeah.
They're not good. They got a weird
Yeah.
taste to them.
Yeah.
So they're no
Hatfield
good.
has a good hot dog, by the way. That's a big Philly one. So you might think I'm biased, but like, I don't really have a Philly bias to food other than like a cheesesteak. Like but I will say Hatfield does a great job. If you're ever around a Hatfield ballpark, ooh, yeah,
All right.
we got some
They're
good
worth a
wieners.
try then.
Reading's not bad because we have our own hot dog company in Berks County, like literally in Reading. So at least they're fresh. You got to get a fresh wiener. You know what I mean?
I don't know if I could ever describe a hot dog as fresh, but okay.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe it's the one where freshness doesn't matter, but at least like you know where the meat
The
parts were coming
gaminess is the appeal for some people, but
from. Made with local meat parts.
Sabrette is very hit or miss. Not huge on Sabrettes.
Okay, I agree with that as well.
Yeah, the best one for me personally is the Thumans. If I see Thumans, I know it's going to be quality.
Okay.
There's a couple other lesser no-name brands, like the ones that got up in New York, Rockland, that is.
It gotta be kosher, obviously.
Well, actually, the funny thing is, they do have a kosher stand.
Sure, got it.
Yeah,
Dude.
yeah, and then they have the regular ones too. I have not tried the kosher ones, but the regular ones, not a big fan of. Although I will say one thing they do, or at least the last time I was up there, they were doing, was when it gets to be about the 8th inning, they take all the unsold hot dogs, wrap them in foil, and start throwing them into the crowd.
Oh, dude, you love Reading. We have the crazy hot dog vendor who rides an ostrich around and throws hot dogs out.
Can I just like eat a wiener to the face, or like?
I mean, sure, dude. If you work hard enough.
I want to catch it in my mouth.
But yeah, I'm with you. Honestly, one of the better hot dogs I've had is in weirdly Martinsville Racetrack, which is they do like a red spice dog there. It's pretty good.
All right.
What's the other one? Gastonia. It's just in Gastonia, and they have their naming is terrible, by the way. They call it the Gleazy dog. I don't like that from you, but it is it's a all beef with brisket hot dog. It's flavor on it was good. Their toppings on it are terrible. I don't know what they were thinking about that, but the hot dog itself is quite good.
Where's Shep? We got to haul his Chicago ass on this program right now to talk hot dogs.
The dogs. Yeah, talking dags. But
Do
yeah,
a whole Chicago area tour. We'll go ahead. We'll hit up Rosemont. We'll go to Joliet. We'll hit Windy City. We'll hit all of them.
Sorry for the immediate sidebar on that one. That's on me. But I mean, if we're talking wiener, we're talking wiener. You know what I'm saying?
Now that we've finished discussing a cornerstone of the American cuisine culture in
the cornerstone,
from which all else is built off of, we will move from glizzies to the Australian outback. There could have been a better transition there, but we'll keep it moving.
You're an idiot.
I was ignoring that.
Truly bad.
Double fisting movement that you were doing. But we are going to talk about the Australian Baseball League now because we have an update on their situation. The ABL has struck back. They have released their own statement. The Canberra Cavalry are going to be out in 2025. That's how this thing opens up. So that's how you can tell we're into a good headspace for the Australian Baseball League. Their operating license, meaning that the Cavalry will be going back to Baseball Australia. 4 teams at the moment are scheduled to be playing in the ABL this year. That'd be Adelaide, Brisbane, and Perth, as well as Sydney. Plus, there may be a mystery potential group being added in. We'll have a schedule out in July with all of these teams here. Now, of course, there is a little bit of an issue because, as you may have recalled from a few weeks back, Sydney is currently in an interesting spot licensing wise, and the league admits as much because they are trying to find someone to take over that license. They're looking for a new license holder, although they are committed to making sure the Sydney Blue Sox play this year. Now, granted, it's currently with someone that doesn't want the license, and it looks like they're actively pursuing another choice there, but we'll see how that winds up working itself out. Previously mentioned, the schedule is out in July. It appears the Baseball Australia is still committed to the ABL. Kind of makes sense. Your largest domestic league will probably be something you'd want to support if you are, any national baseball organization. And then also the ABL's GM, Paul Gonzalez, called this a great opportunity to reshape the league and emphasize the need for a reset. So that's a lot to uncover and a lot to break down. What do we think about the current state of the ABL?
It's not a great update.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, I'm starting to get worried that we didn't get any update. So at least someone's working on something, because it was a little bit like,
It's
like the slow fade here, guys. I'd love it not to. And it does seem like they're more taking their time to actually figure out solutions. It doesn't really change my perception, really, of what the situation is. I think they're in danger, but I think there's a chance they figure it out.
Yeah, the sense I kind of got from all of this, right, is we're getting some kind of late stage Can-Am vibes from this, where we are down to a very few teams.
Late stage Can-Am. I'm so sorry. That's really funny.
And we're coming up with prospective ownership groups, essentially, with these license holders and maybe magical entrees in. Teams are dropping out left and right, going other directions with their team in baseball ops. It feels like the people in charge do care, but I do feel like financially the situation isn't quite getting tenable. We talked last time about how we looked at the Melbourne Aces in this as a big, have you even said thank you kind of energy from it. But it is also seeming like this is a kind of a train wreck waiting to unfold before our eyes as well. So I am really hesitant to really have a positive outlook on things.
It is definitely, because this was, let's make it clear, an announcement to announce nothing.
Yes.
It was saying, hey guys, just so you know, we still have just the same teams. And also we still intend to play, which is what we said last time. And we're definitely going to do it, which is what we said last time. And we're very dedicated to this, which is what we said last time. So you're saying nothing, but you are thinking about it, which I do appreciate. And I think that was the main thing of your message, was like, we're still trying. But yeah, it's concerning. I think I've expressed before, I really value any international league, especially the Australian league. And I think it's really important. I think there have been some significant gains. There's been some traction. I think with a World Baseball Classic coming up, I think with the Olympics coming up, I think it's really important to have Australian baseball in it's the same thing. Like, in America, like hurling, which isn't big here for Canadian listeners, gets a bump whenever the Winter Olympics comes around. Handball gets a bump whenever the Summer Olympics comes around. When you're not a prime front of mind sport in a country, it's important to be, in a position to capitalize when your moment in the sun comes, because it's rare. And as somebody who loves baseball, and I know that what's good for baseball is international success and success in countries where it isn't a top sport, it is, for me, my number one concern is they need to have some sort of product that's going to be good and entertaining. Profitable aside, profitable is a long-term goal. Feasible is the current goal. In order to take advantage of this upcoming series of international showcase events and the attention that they will get. So I don't know, man. I also wondered, so I've known of and have had the privilege of meeting a number of Australian players. I know we love to sort of shine a light on Todd Van Steensel, Also, who else at the forefront? What's his face with the Braves? Their commentator. Peter Moylan. Guys like that, like Australia in general. This goes for when I saw them in rugby. It goes for when I've seen them on baseball fields. It goes for when I see them in the world. Australians are
the wild, some would say.
Electric personalities. They're people who have energy and are excited about what it is they're excited about. Now, is most of the time it doing nothing? Yes, Australia. That's why you took the lockdown so well. However, when it is, baseball, I would love to see an opportunity for guys like that to promote the value of the sport. Like I would love with this, right? Okay. Sorry, this is a side tangent, but I was thinking about this for a while. Because after we talked about it, I was like, what would I do if I had the Australian Baseball League? That's a nightmare scenario to try to rebuild this. Is like, I think you have to involve the faces of it. Like anybody with MLB experience, like try to get them involved. Be like, hey, like how can we do this? How can you help? How can we all lift this up and make this work? And it's not easy. But you need people who maybe aren't motivated by profit and are only motivated by love of the game here, right? And I'm not saying it's not what they've had, but I'm saying maybe they need people with a little bit deeper pockets if you're going to play ball that way. So I'd love for them to really look at, what other options there are in this, because I feel like maybe it is a switch up of the model here. This is and I think that is kind of what they're talking about too, is like, how can we make this more feasible? But I don't know, man. But there's no reason having a 16 league shouldn't float. You know what I mean? Like,
I think part of the problem though is too, everything's so spread out. Like Adelaide to Melbourne to Canberra to Sydney to Brisbane, that's all relatively close. Then you Perth this out by its own thing, and there's not really much else there. And if you don't have the infrastructure already in place, it's kind of hard to sell it because the baseball culture isn't fully set. I do think bringing in some of those bigger name guys, some of those bigger name personalities, the guys with major league experience, would help out a lot. I think, if Major League Baseball cared about growing the game, they go ahead and play, a couple of exhibition games there. I think that would probably do wonders for them, especially given.
And they've done it before.
Especially time.
I think they've played regular season games. I think they've opened the season there before.
Yeah, so I mean, doing something like that would really help build up interest, especially if we could have it either on the heels or leading into the ABL season. I think that's part of the issue as well. However, it feels like it's a hard area to grow in. It feels like it's a hard economic situation to make work. Mm-hmm. And it feels like there's not a direct option that you could do something with, right? Like if you're trying to do something like that in the US or Canada, you could have a whole slew of different creative options to make it work. You could try a bunch of different things here, but given the nature of the situation, it feels like you can't get overly creative. I'll also admit it's a lack in real knowledge on Australian geography here. So I'm looking at a map and I don't really know, could Newcastle support a team? Could I put a team in Darwin? Could I put a team up in Fremantle or Albany? Where could I put other teams here? And could I section it off so that way, it's more regionalized? Would that help it? If we could get, rivalries between two towns going and have mean something more, like whoever wins the New South Wales region will play the winner of whoever plays the Queensland region. And that's how you do it. You make more of a grander tournament style league than anything else. I do wonder if that's the way to go about it. I don't know if it's feasible or not. So I think there's just a bit of lack of knowledge on my part to really be able to confidently say, oh, yeah, this is how you'd fix it.
Yeah. I mean, I do think it's more of a, because I want to say, it can't be that hard, but then again, we can barely make a professional softball league work in this country, and we don't need an introduction to the sport of softball. So
that's kind of tough. I do almost wonder, and I could already hear the eyes rolling before I even say this. I wonder if more of bananas type structure would work, to where, sure, the teams are named after cities, but each of these teams are going to move through, and you're going to essentially play weekend long tournaments, right?
I got you.
Yeah.
Premier Lacrosse League.
Yes.
That
that's a
way
better
we'll
example.
take the banana stigma off us. There you go. Premier Lacrosse League, which plays, hey, we're doing a weekend in this city, like tournament style, doing a weekend in this. And I don't think it's even tournament style most days. I feel like it's most, they just play games essentially,
it's just games.
which isn't a bad idea. But like that way, you know, all right, so you have 6 teams. You're doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You can do Friday, Saturday, like day, Saturday night, Sunday day, Sunday night, and like make it a big event, make it extremely an entertainment thing.
Yeah.
You know, almost like a carnival of baseball comes to town, and then you head out and you get people interested. You do like kids clinics in between the games. Maybe that's a move.
That really, I feel like that's the best option for it, right? Because you go ahead, you're not as reliant on the facilities themselves. You can kind of make a move. Figure how long is the ABL season usually?
I know this. Hold on.
12 weeks.
I don't know. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks. 10 rounds. I kind of love a round structure. It makes me laugh.
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of fire. But like, it almost feels like that's the way I do it. I mean, you're already doing them in short bursts, essentially just weekends. If you cut this thing down, like, it would kind of suck to mess with the playoff setup here. But if you have 6 teams, you go around to each city once, or you up it. Yeah, I've pulled it up too.
Okay.
Yeah, either you up it to 12 weeks and you do, 2 in each, or just go 6 with the one, and then you could go ahead and then turn the last remaining 4 weeks of that into your playoff structure, right? Because you'd wrap it up end of January. So you could say, all right, we're going to do 6 rounds here, do one kind of random week to end off the year, right? So now you're through December, and then January is your playoff month.
Yeah. Now the problem would be you're going to be limited on games you can play, but if it's only 4 teams or 5 teams, maybe you can get more in, because you want to, if you're going, shoot, that's going to be tough. Let me think, because we're over focusing on this, but I think whatever it would be, say you do maybe 6 or 7 rounds, whatever, that might get you, but these teams are going to be playing 20 games. Is the problem. Instead of, how many were they playing before? 30? So like, what am I talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like we're not talking about 3 games around for 10 rounds.
Playing 30. Yeah. So if they did like 7 rounds instead, and because here's what I'm saying, 7 too, because it also allows you, I know there are more profitable weeks and less profitable weeks. I've learned that from my Australian friends, so you can cut less profitable ones. You can be a little selective here, and then bring it around. Now that's not as great for players because you're constantly on the road essentially, but you can kind of have a home base set up preferably. And then you can hit like Adelaide, Brisbane, Canberra, Melbourne, Perth, Sydney, and then maybe a couple others that you think would work that just couldn't feasibly host a team full year or full season. And I mean, what the Premier Lacrosse League always did was then they have a semifinal weekend and a championship weekend. And what they did was they always ended in like Philly or Baltimore, like the 2 biggest lacrosse cities. Yeah. So I think it's a good way to go. I don't get, I think they did one up in New England once to finish it out, but like,
Baltimore and Philly.
I think Philly basically always gets the cheat code on things like that because we have the Union Stadium and it's like built. It's like it's like a full stadium, but 10,000, 13,000 seats. Like we used to play rugby there. Like, you know what I mean? It's great to host a random sport. So things like that. So I think maybe that's the move. And then they can kind of also make sure they're getting like really maximum focus on like the championship semifinal weekend, things like that.
Yeah, like I feel like that's the route you have to take on this kind of a thing. It's just you go to more of a circuit type based event there.
Now, I'll end it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I didn't really have too much else to add. I just was going to say, you go to that kind of setup here, it could be more economically feasible. It could grow the game a little bit better. You can make it a spectacle, and all the other points we said. It makes it a little bit easier I do think recruiting foreign players may be a little bit more difficult, but honestly, how much different is the travel in this format versus the old format? Because you were still going away for the weekends to various places here. Like, yeah, now it's every week's a different place, but I mean, beforehand, 10 rounds, you were on the road 5 weeks anyway, and at home 5. So, like, you still were playing in 6 different spots. So it's not like it's that much different.
Yeah. My last point on this would be Australia. If anyone's listening, I'm down. I know you're cash strapped right now, but let me know, man. Tag me in, brother. I'm in. I'll take that move. How much do I like my family? I'll move 24 hours away.
Yeah, that's the ABL situation. Some thoughts on it for you. We'll keep it moving because we do have a lot to get to this week, and we will now be putting out a second episode this time. However, we do go north of the border now, considerably colder than Australia and Trois-Rivières. They have sold their team. We mentioned this briefly last week because we saw it while we were recording and didn't have time to actually look it over. Now we've looked it over. Location Beauport has now become the majority owner of the AGLs. They seem to be a heavy machine rental company, so cherry pickers, roadwork equipment, things like that. They're not just you go there to rent a jackhammer. You're going there to rent serious pieces of equipment used to terraform the land or to put up stanchions or things like that. So that is their business of being the franchise was previously owned by, here's where it's going to get rough, Group Ventura and Cote Rico.
Yeah, sure.
I think that's probably right. The team plans to install synthetic turf. They also want to put some sort of winterizing dome on the playing surface, similar to what they have in Quebec City. Likewise, expect more investment in both youth baseball and regionality coming soon to the team. This is all from the translated press release from roughly a week ago. Any sort of thoughts on this? I know we don't know too much about the group or the area, but any real thoughts on this?
Canadian business sounds like an oxymoron. I'm kidding, Canada. Good luck with your economy, though. Anyway, I mean, yeah, dude, why not? You know, you're not going to be able to buy a house up there anytime soon, but might as well shoot the shot at getting new ownership. And it wasn't going super successfully with Trois-Rivières, so why not?
That's the thing. This is like the fourth
Barry's Canada on one.
What is it? The MasterChef meme where it's like, oh no, you poor baby when it comes to the ABL. Now we're talking the Trois-Rivières, and he's like, you donkey.
I mean, look, I'm not going to feel bad. Like, Trois-Rivières skates by on the fact that every other Canadian organization up there has been doing work since COVID and absolutely tearing it up and getting fans in the ballpark. And like Trois-Rivières is just like in a box, like, do you have any change? And like, I love you. Like I've said this before, I love this organization. I love that like you openly are like, we want to win games, want to get people in this ballpark, but like you have made 0 correct decisions to make this work. Like 0. So like, I don't feel bad, right? Another one, by the way, where if you hit me up and are like, hey, come work up here, I'm in. No questions asked. We'll figure out the logistics later. Like
we'll figure out if you can get a visa later.
Since like 2020, I have been like, before I even covered this league, I was cracking open Out of the Park baseball every time, and every time I go to Trois-Rivières because I love the organization. I want them to do well. I always do the rebuild. I am not kidding. I spend my free time thinking about your organization. So it is not out of a place of malice. It is out of a place of like, yeah, all right, we'll see, man. Like, that's like if you told me Gary got new ownership again, I'd be like, okay, we'll see. Like, why would we think it would go well?
Okay, first off, Gary ownership catching a stray.
Catching such a stray, dude. I'm so sorry.
We're going to talk Gary in like probably 35 minutes. Anyway,
Gary, we're not done with you yet.
So that's a different thing entirely. The ownership group does not deserve a single stray yet. They've been here for what, 2 years? they're doing some work off of the field.
Sure.
On the field, it's just an adventure, but we'll talk about it on the field later. That's
RVA, who should have already built a statue of TJ Stanton because he's the only thing that kept them relevant there. Sorry, what?
Secondly, Tucker Nathan's kept them relevant too. Thirdly, Tucker Nathan's has some damn good years up there. Okay, let's settle.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Also, I'm flanking the guy that they fired to bring in Abaladejo.
Not Matt Rush.
Matt Rush was good up there, dude.
Matt Rush was like
not as a manager,
20-something games below 500. Oh, yeah, pitcher. Okay, sure. All right.
As a pitcher.
Yeah, all right.
As
all
a
right,
pitcher.
all right, all right. We're talking decision makers, though.
All right. Any case, I just like TR catching some strays here.
They're not catching strays. Like, they're not catching strays. They're catching direct shots, which are not undeserved.
I will admit to you, the constant ownership changes do not help the cause. I will give you that.
No.
Obviously. But so far to date, we haven't really gotten a bunch of winners. This team's existed for 12 years. We have yet to really see a bunch of winners in that category. But, like, maybe it goes better. Maybe they learn, like, okay, grassroots are the way to go. Maybe they stop selling their merchandise in a mall kiosk. Who knows? I really wanted to try and turn this around, but I got distracted and I don't know how to turn it around now.
Here's why. I do not care who the owner is at this point. I care about, let's get the fundies right at this point. Let's get a quality product that is not going to be melting down constantly and is not unwatchable. Let's get an off-field product that's engaging with the fans, is giving something different. It's giving them a reason in a place that is not overly familiar with baseball, a reason to go whether you give a damn about baseball or not. Like, let's work on that. Then we'll talk about it. Like, but one thing at a time here, you got to get this stuff right. Because, like, right now, there's teams around you dealing with similar issues, and they are finding ways to pick up and move and get it done. And, like, RVA feels like fell in the mud. They had some good years. COVID happened. They did not play in 2020, did not play in 2021. And then since then have proceeded to roll around in the mud instead of getting up, getting hosed off, and getting it going. And it's like, all right, like, there's a good bit of cushion here for, like, hey, like, we understand it's difficult. This is a tough challenge, tough market, tough ballpark, all that. But at a certain point, it's like, okay, like, but let's go, right? Now, I understand, true, with the ownership changing back and forth, there probably has been financial financial tightness, we'll call it. But, like, okay, so now what? You know, and by the way, I'm not even sure about this. I would not be surprised if this company is like involved with the former owners or something like that. You know what I mean? Like a weird thing. It's not my personal thing. It's my company's thing. Anytime a company takes over, like, you know what I mean? We're breezing over that. That's saying, oh, Amazon bought this team, but not Jeff Bezos. Like, okay, who's the owner of this team? You know what I mean? I'd warn you against the fact that the Flyers suck permanently because Comcast owns them in large part, and Comcast sees them as a budget line item. So it's like, yeah, dude, it's gonna suck. Sorry, like, for the rant on that one, but, like, I really do care about the organization. I think about them a lot. It's just like we need to see something, bro, and I need to learn more about who this owner is. That's why I'm not overly like, oh.
Again, we're going to get Ryan's anti-capitalistic musings on this week's episode, 2 in a row. Hot damn.
Dude, drag them out in the street, brother. You already know.
Secondly, they aren't unwatchable. I watched them get a comeback loss last night against the Miners.
Yeah, I mean,
bad
they're
outing for
potentially blessed by the fact that they exist in the same division as Brockton. A division where they're going to get punched in the teeth by Quebec multiple times a year? Yes. Living the nightmare.
To be fair, they're half game worse than Ottawa at the moment. So, like, you know.
Yeah.
If it speaks more to Ottawa than anything.
I know, but who you buying? Right.
So yes, the Egg Gals have new ownership. Will they soar high or will they fall out of the sky? We'll find out. Anywho, we move on. Last little piece of news, and it's more just a mention here. Seeing the Jack Michaels call going around, Dylan Thomas, big home run after saying that he would hit one for Jack Michaels, because if you are familiar with the Fargo Moorhead Red Hawk broadcaster, you know that his Marge Track It Down call is inspired off of his mother, and his mother had passed away earlier that day, and the Red Hawks responded by getting every run via the long ball. So, rather nice, rather touching. The whole broadcast was rather nice, the whole call. I'm sure people have seen it on the association socials. We will link it in the show notes and may try to edit it in somewhere in this bit here. Just want to make note of that. And pulling for the Red Hawks, as well as Michaels himself, one of the broadcasters I really do enjoy listening to.
Yeah,
and it's kind of why I always default to watching a Red Hawk game if I get the chance.
Yeah, I enjoy. One of my disappointments of I just did my big opening day for Pioneer League watch through, which I have a video coming together on. I just got to put all my clips together of that. One of my biggest disappointments was the Fargo game was rained out.
Yeah.
So spoiler alert, I think I had 2 rainouts in 2 non-streamed games. So it was only 22 games, but I'll complain about that in the video. I'm trying to make the video not turn to me just reviewing everyone's broadcasts. But yeah, Fargo really does one of the best broadcasts. He's a fantastic broadcaster. He's a pro. He's fun. He's funny. One of my favorite home run calls, by the way, because I love a unique one with a bit of a backstory. Yeah. And I love that even if you don't have the backstory, you kind of be like, oh, that's electric. Like, that's kind of a fun call. Obviously thoughts with him and his family, but that is, I like to see a quick moment of like, there's a quote I stumbled upon not long ago, and it was like, I know what happens after you die. The earth continues on. And it's like, for the people left behind, it's always nice to have a moment where you're like, it's almost like hey, like, it'll be all right. Yeah, we're going to keep moving. So hopefully it can be that.
Yeah, definitely there. I do like that his voice is definitely unique too. And that's one of my gripes that I've had among a lot of more recent broadcasting. It's like a lot of people all just kind of sound the same, and his voice is different. So like, I like that. I like when I hear something like, oh, I know exactly who that is, and there's not even a second of guessing. And that's definitely up there. Also appreciate the mention on the Fargo broadcast the other night too.
Oh, look at you.
Yep. I made note that I was switching over to Fargo for midnight baseball, and got a slight mention there. So it was great. Also,
look at you.
I know the tweet also got liked, so kind of a big deal.
Wow.
Also, I may or may not have volunteered myself to put hot sauce and coffee.
You're an idiot.
It's on to you, Gary. If you get me the materials, it will happen.
Oh man.
Yeah, it'll end well for me. All right, let's talk baseball.
Yeah, finally.
Yes, an hour in, we're talking ball. Atlantic League, week 4. Some thoughts and comments and concerns. High Point, where I'm going to start this week, because they are the high point of the league, as they have to be the favorites to win the South at this stage. Yes.
Yeah. So, High Point, by the way, I hate to victory lap on something, but I believe last week I was like, I think Lexington's pitching might have trouble after being seen twice by a team, and then immediately got absolutely smacked by High Point for the rest of the weekend. So that was tough. I'm not rooting for their failure by him saying like,
but you are preying on their downfall. Pretty
solid there. Well, yeah, but that's fine. But I mean, give 26 runs the next 2 games. Yeah, I mean, High Point seems to have their number. They also put up 23 runs in the last 2 games of their series before that with them. Then Gastonia jumped on Lexington. Sorry, I know it's a High Point topic, but it does seem like Lexington's falling back and High Point's sort of putting in the work to distance themselves in this situation.
Yeah, that's the thing that yeah, that's my game's part of the takeaway here is, and part of the reason I'm saying this is High Point's division to lose at this point is Lexington's the only other team above 500 in this division. We'll talk
Right.
Estonian in a second, but they're
Yep.
essentially done for this half, I think, at this point. Too much ground to make up, I think, with nearly half of the first half done.
Yeah,
And
Southern Maryland back to earth as well.
yeah, so they've come crashing back down. And
Charleston's
Charleston,
starting to play ball, but
yeah,
they
they're
might be
starting, but they also put themselves behind the 8 ball a lot too. So you're going to need some help from High Point to actually start to catch up. So
them
they're in the
dropping 2 out
driver's
of
seat.
3 was not what they needed, which is a shame because they had momentum because they just swept Southern Maryland and then they got smacked. They have 6 more games in the first half against High Point, but
I mean,
they got to win
pick them up. But yeah,
5 of those probably to really start making moves.
I mean, if you win those 5, you're still 2 back.
Yeah, but if you win those 5, you probably got some other things cooking, so you might be in business there. Yeah,
that's fair. I mean, like it just feels like they are the Rockies. That is the team that really is in control. Even you look to the north with York, who's started to come on recently. There, 4-game winning streak here. Long Island's also starting to come on, so they could definitely challenge. They're only 3 back of you. And Staten Island's kind of figuring out what they're going to wind up being. They're in the same boat as Long Island, being 3 back, same record, identical there. So, that's really where it is. Lancaster's not as bad as they were to start the year, but it's still kind of clear their second half teams. We're not going to start looking at them until really July. And then there's whatever Hagerstown is, which, again, will skate this week on not being called out on being a 5-1 team that is genuinely ferocious at throwing the baseball. But
oh my God, I know, man. I was like, that has to, you see those numbers, you're like, well, yeah, but like that's an early season thing, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh,
we're 25 games in. It's so bad.
We're still here, brother. Like, I don't know.
Worse by 2 1/3 runs.
I mean,
almost they're hitting 300 off of them.
Yeah, I mean, they lost 5 of their last 6, giving up 36, 50, 60 runs over those last 6 games. Oh, good God.
10 runs on average, dear God. And I know I said they're going to escape, but I'm going to mention this.
No,
Hagerstown's given up 190 runs this year and 191 in a third inning, or 190 in a third innings. The next closest for runs allowed in 204 innings with 137 is Staten Island.
Damn. They do be giving up runs.
Yeah, and even then, there's like kind of a small group. It's Staten Island, Lancaster, and Gastonia. They're all within 3, and they're all within 2 innings of each other. And then you have like the next grouping of like the 120s, where you have between 126 and 120, and then York that's just being stingy, but they've also only played 188 innings. So like, okay, they have like 12 less innings, 20 less innings than some teams. So that's going to help out the cause. Even if you want to tack on an extra, 10 runs to them, like, okay, they're still right in the middle of the pack. They're a good pitching team.
I'm having trouble. I wish I could pull it a little faster right now, but I believe Hagerstown might be the only team to not have won a series yet this year.
I mean, they only have 5 wins, so that's almost certainly the case.
Because they split the series with Staten Island to start the year. It was a 4-gamer. No, they didn't. They lost 2 out of 3. They lost 2 out of 3 to Lexington. They got swept by Staten Island. Lost 2 out of 3 to York. Swept by York. 2 out of 3 to Lancaster. Swept again by York. Good God, York! Leave them alone. Didn't York do that to them last year? Was that they did it to Lancaster last year? Where like York won like 13 to 14 to start the year. Lancaster,
I would assume it was Hagerstown.
Dropped 2 out of 3. Big opportunity here playing Southern Maryland this weekend, though.
That's probably the best.
Because guess who's around the corner? Guess it's York again, and then High Point. Good God. All right, you got 9 games coming up. You got 3 against Southern Maryland, 3 against York, 3 against High Point. How many do they win?
2.
I got 2 also.
It feels kind of like, okay, they probably take 1 against Southern Maryland, and I think they sneak 1 in there somewhere else. Maybe.
Here's the thing. If they win 2 out of the next 9, which is what we're talking about, they actually improve their winning percentage.
Oh.
Oh, was the correct reaction to that one. Look, we're not sitting here dancing on graves. We're just like, you can't. I mean, look, we're all bouncing around Rocky's fun facts right now, you know? So we're not going to ignore it when you're absolutely getting housed by teams. I'm not celebrating it for any of the people involved. It's just, hey, man, I know it's still focused on building off the field, but, you know, you might want to, at some point, maybe win some ball games here, Hagerstown.
To be fair, Compagnon and Dotel have been pretty solid.
Yeah.
Dotel,
I think the return has been good.
Yeah.
I have been studying. I've been doing my own deep dives into actual attendance versus reported attendance. Let that be a warning to you all. But I have not gotten to them yet, but their at least reported attendance is pretty good. Maybe I'll do a look at their numbers this week. Keep those, the key is to get them at the last second with the ticket sale maps. Like first pitch. Oh, that's alleged 3,000 attendance in a ballpark with 4,000 unsold seats. I have doubts, but we'll see how Hagerstown is.
But did you count the suite sales?
I tend to assume mostly or at least half full suites, depending on the ballpark. I am giving benefit of the doubt on a lot of that.
Did you include the people that bought stuff in the picnic area?
I usually check the game video for that stuff.
What about those that have flex tickets?
There's flex tickets. No, get in the ballpark or we're not involved.
Okay. Because flex tickets should count for every night because they can be used any night.
That's what the teams figure.
I'm ready to work in the front office, lads. Make the call. I don't trash you as much as the other guy. Yeah, so that's High Point, favorite in the South. York, where we stand on their odds in the North?
Oh, man.
I mentioned it briefly, but you have Long Island and Staten Island that are nearby-ish, but they're going to fight with each other.
There's a substantial lack of momentum with those two right now. Not like in a way like they are, have a negative momentum. It's just they don't have any momentum. It's just win 2, drop 2 type of thing, it feels like. So, I don't know. I'm not really. I mean, look, it's a 3-game lead. It's not safe. But we're talking about High Point having a 3-game lead, and we're like, yeah, it's theirs to lose. I think York seems like the best team. I think we could agree with that. And I would say it's like, I think they're well on their way, unless we have some changes here. But even York, I mean, they have Southern Maryland, they have Lancaster coming. That's the second Lancaster series. And then they have Long Island. That's going to be interesting. That Long Island York series coming in about 2 weeks is going to be interesting. But they do have Hagerstown in there, obviously, as we said, and Staten Island, who's been up and down. And then they have, but I'll have to check that. But we know that on June 2nd, they're playing like a game and a half, which will be fun. Because I'm gonna be there. It's announced for anybody interested. Free admission for a noon start on Monday, June 2nd. Playing the end of a rained out or delayed Southern Maryland game, and then a 7-inning second game, which was also rained out. So that should be exciting.
Yeah, I think personally, I give Staten Island a little bit of an edge on trying to catch them in this division. Mostly because they'll just have the opportunities. They have the one series in the beginning of June against them, another one at the end of June actually 2 in the end of June against them to really make it up. And if I recall correctly, from the end date at the first half, Staten Island will end playing York. So that gives you roughly, what would it be, 9, 10 games, 12 games that you can make up some ground on. Now, granted, they do have a High Point series in there that could be tricky. What happens against Long Island this weekend is going to be important as well. But then 6 against Lancaster, that's a series you could easily split at worst. And then 3 more against Lancaster. I mean, you could realistically do some damage there. High Point won't be easy, but then you have some Hagerstown games that you can make some ground real easy with. And it really comes down to how good are you at beating Long Island and how good are you at beating York. And I guess to a lesser extent, Lancaster, because they are still part of it too. Lancaster, on the flip side, if they have, in those 9 games upcoming against the Fairy Hawks, if you go 6-3, you really do some damage in getting back into things.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I favor them, but
I wouldn't favor them at all.
I
I
see the avenue. I see the road.
Yeah, it just takes a really good week. I mean, you walk out of the 6-game stretch of playing 5-1, let's say, which I know is a bit pie in the sky. I'm changing the equation a bit, but 5-1 there, you got some momentum going in here. You could do something with that, but I think it's a lot there. So, quickly here before moving on to the American Association, because we do have a lot of leagues to get to this week. I had Long Island, Staten Island as one to watch. Long Island taking 2 of 3 from Staten Island in this stretch here. These are series to watch from last week. Southern Maryland, York was one to watch as well. They only played 1 game. York won that 7-6. And then a pair of rainouts this week. I would say to watch Southern Maryland at Gastonia, 27-29. 2 teams that are kind of teetering badly. Gastonia, really, this is, I think, their last true shot at being able to do anything with this half, although that ship may have sailed. Southern Maryland, if they want to get back in and actually start to challenge High Point, they need a good series there. Lancaster and Staten Island is another one to watch. Again, both of them are in that kind of mushy middle of this division. This is more important for Staten Island, I think. Lancaster, we know they're a second half team. We know that's what they built for. So it matters less so to them, but for the Fairy Hawks, this is a nice 3-game stretch for them to go out and try to really make up some ground on York. And then lastly, Charleston at Lexington, 2 teams that are both trending in opposite directions. Charleston on the ascend, Lexington on the descent. This could stop movement one way or the other. This could keep Lexington in a realistic conversation for the division. If they can mount something here, Charleston manages to take care of business against Lexington, they can put themselves back into a conversation where we're saying, oh, maybe High Point isn't the runaway right now, but could go either way. That last series starts tonight on Friday, 23-25. The other 2 are all 27-29. So we'll look for that. Last final note, Morgan McSweeney, pretty sweet so far for the Fairy Hawks, 2.25 ERA, 17 Ks, 7 walks, and a 1.13 whip in his starts so far. And Evan Edwards is most likely your MVP candidate thus far. Big Christian Santana vibes from last year.
Oh yeah, that's a good comp. Who was it I was watching? Evan Edwards had a hell of a week with High Point too. 4 homers.
That's the guy I just said.
Yeah, I know. I knew that you mentioned somebody that I wanted to revisit, and I was like, and Womack was the other one for Charleston that he stuck in my head. Womack's such a pain in that lineup. Like, he has a weird habit too of like, I don't know. He just seems difficult to throw to. Maybe he could swing less, but he attacks, and I think it's interesting. There was one more that I noticed because I've thrown shade at Hagerstown. Wellington Dotel looked really good. Recently,
I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I know. That was one that I wanted to at least piggyback because I have dunked on Hagerstown recently. And Wellington Dotel is a guy who had like really bad numbers last year and probably didn't. It was like a lot of it, like it wasn't good, but a lot of it was off like an 0 for 24 start to the year, which is really brutal. So it's been good to see. I mean, he's, let me see. I mean, the numbers, God, like over the past week, he's improved from like a 600 OPS to a 900 OPS.
Yeah.
Over the past, 2 weeks.
Yeah. So 5-day against York helped the cause about a week ago.
I know. I mean, it would be cool if they had a little bit of help for Big Dog there, but like,
I mean, like I said earlier, Joey Campagna, to a degree, helps a lot. A 243 batter. Walks a decent bit. Doesn't strike out that much. Matt is also pretty solid too, although he strikes out a lot.
Though, I mean, let's be clear, we jumped all over their pitching staff as if they're not also having the worst offense in the league. So,
obviously, the problem with Hagerstown is, and we'll go to the association in just 1 second, is they're not that deep. It's like Pena, Lejano, Dotel, Madison on some nights, and then off the cliff. Maybe Robinson and Abreu help you out, and then it's like, oh no, not much else here, boys. Quits
Yeah,
is even
I'm with you
struggling,
there.
and he normally does something.
And then there's also, if we're going to shout it out, High Point as well. Best offense in the league and best pitching in the league right now.
That will play.
High Point, 7.5 runs per game.
Let's talk association. Let's go over there. We are in week 2 of the American Association. We have some teams that are off to some hot starts, some teams that are off to some cold starts. Hard to say just 13 games into the season, but we have our first 10-win team, and that is the Cleburne Railroaders. 8-2 in the last 10, 3-game winning streak. Granted, it's been helped with playing some lesser teams, but even still, they have performed very well. Sioux City doing well, Kansas City doing well. These are all teams that are at just 3 losses. Same thing with Lake Country, who's quietly doing pretty solid. Does feel to be like the pack is starting to separate here. The bottom 3 are pretty well solid or instated. The top 4 are pretty well solid and stated. And then everybody else is just kind of in the middle at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird. Okay, we're having the issue with the American Association for like the second time here, which is like we talk all the time about like, well, look, everyone gets in seemingly, which is frustrating to the playoffs, but at least like it keeps teams in the conversation, you know?
Yeah.
And then like immediately teams are doing all they can to not be in the conversation. Like I'm so frustrated. Like Lincoln is 3 games out of the playoffs, which sounds like nothing because there's 88 games left, you know, but it is like they are not looking competitive. Winnipeg is back on the run. So we got 5 teams fighting for 4 spots now in the West. Sorry, Lincoln.
Yeah. And in fairness to Winnipeg as well, too, it's cold, the spring training is abbreviated, and they start on the road. So that's not exactly easy as hand dealt.
Right. And now they're back and they look better. They took 2 out of 3 in Winnipeg to start the 4 out of 6, 5 out of their 7. So they're back. Sioux Falls offensively has been crazy. We'll talk about that a little bit. But like Gary, which I know you have thoughts on, but I'll let you get to, but like it is like King County. We were like, well, King County will figure it out. But like, I don't know, man. King County looks bad. King County looks really bad. And I'm a little bit like Chicago looks possibly notably better, even though Chicago gives up so many runs. Here's my interesting series coming up, and then we'll kick over to some stuff that you have to talk about here.
Yeah.
Chicago versus Lincoln's coming up, and I'm interested because it is like we are going to find out if Lincoln cannot find games this series, then like that's they're cooked. That is cooked. However, I don't know, but I'm trying to find what the team pitching total look like on that one. Yeah, there we go. Chicago has given up in 110 innings. They've given up 87 runs. They're leading the league, giving up 87 runs so far. The ERA right now for Chicago is a 6.46, which puts into context how bad Hagerstown has been. Lake Country, by the way, filthy. We can get there, but only given up 27 runs so far this season. Lincoln just has blow up games, man. They just have some games where it's like they just fumble so badly and they can't get the offense and the pitching going on the same day. So this will be an interesting one to see which one of these teams are going to actually hang and which one isn't. But
yeah. I will say on King County, I haven't watched them all that much, so I can't really comment all too much. But they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 losses here that are all 1-run losses here. They play a lot of very close games. Like their worst loss, admittedly, was an 11-4 loss last week to Milwaukee, but then they answered back with a 12-1 win. So they win the series. So like, okay, bad day, whatever, don't care. It's just they lose these close games and they seem to give up around 4 runs every time here. So that tells me the offense just isn't providing anything at the moment here. And when you do a quick look here, Craig and Lott are really the offense at the moment here. Will guys come along later on? Perhaps. But, you need more of an upside.
They've only allowed 9 runs.
Huh?
9 runs in the last 5 games. Sorry, they've only allowed 9 runs in the last 5 games.
Yeah,
so it hasn't been as bad. I haven't gotten a lot of quality time with them other than on.
As a pitching staff, they have a 3.15 for their ERA, 3.15. So like that is not bad by any stretch. It's pretty good. And they're not
No,
really
you're right.
walking guys. I mean, 28 walks in what, 103 innings. One every 4 innings, essentially.
They
One every
just
three
have the
innings.
worst offense in the league,
Yeah, it's just they
scoring 3
can't.
runs per game.
Yeah, I mean, how even their worst like actual starter is Summer, and he has not that bad, like a 470 for the ERA. It's fine.
Mhm.
Would like more than 5 innings out of a start, but it's early enough, stretching him out, fine, whatever. He's averaging a strikeout an inning, and he's only walked 3, so it just seems like he gives us some hits, and when he gives up hits, they tend to be problems. So, like, okay, it'll happen. But, like, Maz has looked good. Mers looked good. Connor Ash has been one of the best pitchers in the league so far. And they have a bullpen rotation that's working really, really well. I mean, Boggs and Fox have only gotten into 1 and 2 games respectively. They have yet to give up a run. And Stevenson, Gazzo, and Nissen collectively pitched 15 innings, and they have given up collectively 6 hits and about 10 base runners in 15 innings. I think that's pretty great out of your bullpen. So if those are your like 4 or 5 real workhorses out of the pen, I mean, I've even looking across the board here. I mean, pretty much everybody, they call it the bullpen, is doing pretty good. Martinson's not really doing great, and your boy Brett Phillips did not look good. But I mean, hey, even still, the pitching is not the issue at all. They're actually pretty good. And I'm curious to see the league standing for that. But yeah, the batting is atrocious there.
Yeah, the batting is, I mean, that is certainly a can of worms. I don't want to move on from them too quick, but like,
yeah,
there was a lot. I mean, Jabari Henry did 3 home runs in back-to-back games here.
Oh, for Sioux Falls?
Did he? Was that right? I saw that, right? I'm trying to remember what
things
happened.
Last week, I know he hit back-to-back games. I don't know if he had the 3rd game or not.
No, it was in back-to-back games. It was back-to-back games.
Okay, so he may have hit 3 consecutively, but yeah, that was all last week.
Oh no, it was 3 home runs in 3 games.
Yeah.
And then including a 22-0 beatdown of Chicago, which was crazy.
And since then, he is 2 for 14.
Yeah, that is kind of how Sioux Falls operates, though, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, if we want to switch to Sioux Falls here, I don't really have that much to say on them. I was planning on going hard in on Gary.
No, my bad, bro.
But I can talk about them a little bit here. They are kind of in the middle here. Looking at the schedule, do I have them to watch? No, I don't have anything for them to watch this week. But they do have 4 games set in Milwaukee, going the whole Memorial Day weekend, and 3 at home against Cleburne to finish out the week. I mean, it could be a week for them. Cleburne's going to be tough, and Milwaukee feels like they're on level field. They can get 3 or 4 from them. I feel pretty good about their positioning here. I expect them to take 1 game from Cleburne. If they can get the second one, all the better. But I mean, once you get to Milwaukee, it's going to get real tough. I mean, you go Cleburne, then you have to travel to Kansas City, and then you're back home for a while, but you're getting Sioux City and then a really nice pitching team in King County, like we just spent some time to discuss before you get a break with Gary coming up after that. So, I mean, it's not exactly easy coming up. This is your 4-game stretch you're going to have for pretty much the next 2 weeks if you want to do something with it. So far, they also just had the misfortune of getting a couple of tougher teams. They opened up against Fargo, and Fargo's been a really good team so far. They rebounded against Lincoln, and then they kept it going against Chicago, back-to-back series wins. And then they got a tough team in Lake Country, but hey, they did pretty good. They took 1, shut them out in the back half of a doubleheader, and then they lost the other 2 by 1 run. So they're playing them close. It's just they haven't gotten it all the way done here. The offense is fine. I'm pretty happy with the way it is. Even the guys that aren't really on-base dudes, they're hitting for power, so I'm cool with that. Josh Rewald is phenomenal so far this year. And pitching-wise, it's kind of, it's fine. I mean, less than 4 as a team, but everyone's been pitching well so far. One of the guys I did want to mention, though, Tanner Brown, I have him down there. Like, he won't have an MVP case because pitchers don't, but him and Kyle Marmon have been phenomenal. Brown, slightly less so than Marmon, 1-1 for the record, sub 1 ERA in about 19 innings pitched, 18 Ks, 7 walks, and a whip below 1. One of, if not the best starter in the league so far this year.
Mm-hmm.
But they do have other contributors. And really, the rotation, the top 3 guys are all great. Brown, Gourmet, and Noel doing great. It's just the back half there, Miller and Zimmerman have not been doing it so far. So you're kind of punting 2 days when you have guys that have given up 9 and 17 runs respectively in under 20 innings pitched combined. That's just not going to get it done. And it does look like some of their back end bullpen guys in Togerson and Johnson, I'm not even sure I call them back end because they kind of are highly used, haven't quite gotten her done either. So Torgerson, rather, not Togerson. I didn't see the R. Torgerson, while he's given up 8 runs, only 3 are earned. So, like, that,
yeah.
Plus, there's some extra base hits in there, so I'm assuming that's a decent chunk of it as well. And in the birdcage, doubles and triples happen. That's part of life. They're interesting to me. I'd like to see them kind of get a little bit deeper on the pitching side of things, even because it comes at the expense of batting. But we will see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I know you have some other thoughts here. I just wanted to get to before I move on.
Yeah, there's only 2 other teams I really want to talk about. So
I was going to mention this Lake Country's so good right now.
One of them, yes.
Jacob Nix, I watched his start with Sioux Falls the other day. 7-inning shutty on them, 3 hits, 6 Ks, gross.
Yeah.
Whip is like below a 0.6 if I remember right. I know that his ERA, it's 2 earned over 20 innings pitched.
Yeah, 0.55 right now for the whip.
Yeah. So, and he's not shutting down nobody. Like he went 6 shutty against Chicago, 2 runs over 7 with Fargo, and then
beat up
no
Sioux
runs
Falls,
over 7 with Sioux Falls. He's only walked 1 batter, struck out 20. That'll work, by the way. If anyone's curious, that'll work.
They had some really solid starters here between Hansel, who's been kind of better.
Hansel, so hot right now.
Yeah, those 2 at the top are great. Then Conine, also great here. And it looks like they've just been using Rod Gesellman out of the bullpen here. If you were to make him a starter, too, you could really cook with that. Although I'm imagining Gesellman's going to call that shot. Again, Jefferson, pilot, not great, but I mean, 1 could be fine as a 5. It's
the top 3 in their rotation have a 1.26 ERA, which is fun, exciting.
Yeah, and that's Hansel hasn't walked a dude yet in 11 innings, and Nick's only walked 1 dude.
Yeah, I think they have their walk rate. There's, if you look at it, it's like one of those ones where like there's been a couple bad innings, but like the walk rate in general for the entire team it's pretty crazy.
Crazy low.
It would be more helpful if I could find them on Baseball Reference, and I will continue to bring this up, but it's fine.
My bigger concern with them is just the batting, because there's not a lot of power here. Like, pretty much it's Sims and Ray's power mainly came from 1 game where he hit 3 home runs. And there's not a lot of average hitters. I'm not seeing too many walks. I mean, Hill's walking a decent bit. Roscombe's walking a decent bit, and admittedly should have had another home run onto his total there.
Oh, my God. It's so insane.
Don't think we weren't going to mention that. That's a bad look for the association there.
Dude, the umpiring in the association's been abysmal, by the way. Like, it's been real bad. Yeah.
It's been bad.
Look at on a pseudo-related note, look at keeping on Christian Colon, maybe having to chill out in Kansas City, by the way, because he's gotten tossed already twice, including in the 9th inning of a 6-run game. Like, homie, you gotta calm down, brother. What are you doing? You gotta chill. Yeah, that's been a conversation I've heard from a couple people that he's a little tightly wound. But I said to mention, since if you're going to collect 2 ejections in the first 10 games of the year, yeah, man, you're going to get called out. The whip for Lake areas, Lake Country is like at 1, by the way, which is gross. 196 opponent batting average.
But yeah, so I would like to see them hit a little bit better, but it does seem like batting across the board is down this year. Honestly, having to back it up, but it feels that way.
Hold on, I can do it. Hold on, I gotcha. We're at 4.6 runs per game, 5.3. So it's down about a run.
But it is early.
here. Yeah.
So we'll see if
So
it
we'll
comes
see.
up. But it feels like it's just 'cause there's a bunch of teams here. Like, no one's really hitting that much, getting on base that much. Like, I don't know. It just feels that way because I'm looking at every team. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good BRA. That's a pretty good team. There's like a dividing line here. Like, you get to Sioux Falls to the last like sub 4 team, and then you get 4.25, nearly 5, 6.25, nearly 6.5 for the last two. So
Now,
it does
I
feel like
will
feast of famine.
say, and I will be the first to admit I would need to go back and do some math to see if this actually checks out. But I do think in many leagues in the indie ball side, the runs per game does increase as the year goes on slightly,
Yeah.
as top pitchers leave and get picked up, because
That
top
is
pitchers
true.
are
Plus
more likely to
arms
get picked
start
up
to-
than top batters. And yeah,
and the arms start getting used too much, and it's hard to replace them throughout the year. So
yeah, and teams with bad depth can cover that early by just switching out and moving a lot of, or in like kind of keeping the focus off of their lesser pitchers, but eventually will get exposed. So yeah, I think there's a bit of that.
Definitely. So
Balls is not reported correctly in 2024 data, which is a big affecting piece when you're comparing numbers offensively. So I could be a little bit off there, but that would only increase the number of runs scored. So it to her point, I guess.
yeah, it does feel a little low here. Talking about Gary quickly before we get into the series of mention and just highlighting some other individual players. Gary's team is pissing me off. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, here's the thing. Like, I don't want to say I'm actively rooting for them because I try not to root for teams. Right? I root for some stories certainly here. Like, it'd be nice to see Fargo go on a run for Jack, and it'd be nice to see Gary succeed. It'd be nice to see them have a moment here. Maybe not last all year, but have a moment here. But you lose by 1 on opening day, you lose by 2 again the day after, and then 4-0 sweep is what it is. So not great series against Milwaukee. You nearly pull it off in a couple games against Cleburne. You actually do it for 1 against Cleburne, only to then get bodied the following day. 20-7 is a bodying. Okay, I don't want to hear any argument against that. But they managed to take another one. So essentially, you played 2 series against Cleburne, and you lost both series, but you left there with something. Then you get to Sioux City, right? And the Tuesday game was close. They started doing something on the Wednesday game. They had opportunities. Blew it. Then you get to last night's game, the Thursday game. And it's like, oh, okay. They fell down big early. They worked their way back. Atrocious fielding by both sides here, so I will chalk it up to the field. Potentially unfairly to the field, but we'll chalk it up to that, so that way everyone looks better. And then they get into the 9th, and you're like, okay, they're still down, but this could be interesting. They find a way to tie it up. Then you had the weird play at first in the bottom, at the bottom half of that 9th inning. And Mongo was coming out flames and eyes because they overturned the call at first, even though it was quite clearly the runner was out, but whatever. Then you have a chance in the 9th, or in the 10th rather. Getting so annoyed I'm getting my innings jumbled up here, Chad. You have a chance here. Runner's placed on second. You get him over to third. Put out, strike out. That's it. 2 strikeouts and a put out. That's how this inning ends. After you got him to third. You stranded the winning run 90 feet away. Then you let 1 base runner on. Fine. Intentionally walk the bases. Okay, I get it at that point. Runner's already, where he is. And he got to third anyway, so don't care at that point. Might as well set up a double play potential. Cool. Don't care. It's an interesting call, but one where I see the logic in it. It's different. I'm in favor of that. And then they just get shit luck with getting the exact pitch they needed. A chopper at short for it to go off the tip of the glove into the outfield, and that's the game. This team pissing me off.
How it goes.
Because, I want to say they're better. I really do, because I'm like, I see how this can go. I see how they can win this. I see what they're trying to do. And then they'll respond with just bad fielding or poor plate discipline. Like, what was the one I was watching? It was either Wednesday night or Tuesday night I was watching from them. I think it was Wednesday. Don't know for certain. But you had bases loaded, believe one out, and a 2-0 count. And we're swinging. The guy walked the last two guys, and it's thrown about 2 strikes in the last 10 pitches he's thrown. Why are we swinging? Make him beat you. He can't do that right now. Now I got to look at the box score and try to find the damn thing. But like, it's situational awareness. We can't hit the zone right now.
Yeah, here's the thing, though, too. And it bothers me because I feel like we spoke to this before when we've previously been like, who is going to pitch on this team? Who is going to start on this team? Starting pitching to this point has thrown 50 and a third. They have allowed 48 runs in those 50 and a third innings. Not useful. And then when you keep in mind that Jonathan Martinez, who is a reliever, without one of his starts, who he went 2 and a third innings, they have allowed exactly 48 earned runs in 48 innings pitched, the starting rotation. So if you are going to have a team that struggles with the fundies, if you're going to have a team that struggles with consistent lineup production, if you're going to have a team that struggles with consistent bullpenery, though the bullpen has not been that bad, it's sub 6 ERA, which, as I say, I don't realize that's really bad. You cannot put a starting pitcher out there and on average have him just allow as many runs as he pitches innings. It does not work. And I understand that they know that. I understand that it is a tough situation to recruit and it's a tough situation to get good starters there. But that isn't like, this has been an ongoing issue. This was a team where the shining star in many turns to the rotation last year was Ty Tiedemann. I love Ty Tiedemann.
Who's been released now.
Not the staff ace. So this is not new, and this goes back to our frustrations. You can be frustrated with the performance in close game moments and wasted opportunities. I will continue to harp on the big obvious facts of, my God, who is going to start and carry this rotation at all?
Yeah. Just to circle back to my point on the situational awareness, it was Wednesday. It was the 8th inning. This is how the inning went. Nate Gerken gets subbed out after striking out the side the inning prior. Interesting call by Mongo. I would have let him get the 8th too. What the hell? He's barely thrown anything. He struck out the side. Let him get the rest. But here's how it goes. Ball, 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 called strike, ball, walk to Peralta. Ball, 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 called strike, walk to Rodriguez. Ball, ball, called strike, runners advance on a putout. So now you have second and third, one away. Basabe up. Ball, ball, called strike, ball, foul, walk. Bases are loaded. There is one out right now. Keep tabs on how many strikes he has thrown so far. Called strikes. I have 5. He has walked 3, faced 4 batters, only thrown 5 strikes. We then have Jarius Richards now up. Called strike, ball, ball, foul, ball, walk, run scores. Pozo now out. Goins is in. So we bring in the new pitcher here. Ball, foul, swinging strike, put out. Swinging strike for out 2. Contreras now up. Ball, ball, swinging strike, put out, strikeout, swinging, out number 3. That's how this ends. You got 1 run. And in case you're wondering, well, it's a different pitcher. How did Goins do in the 9th? He walked 2 guys. On that particular day, Sioux City walked a total of, 10, 12 batters. They walked 12. Durkin was the only guy that did not walk a batter. So clearly either the staff wasn't hitting the zone that day or the ump was definitely favoring the batter here. And judging by the fact that Gary also walked, 6, 7, 9, 10 batters, I'm willing to say it was a pitcher-friendly umpire. Why are we going up looking to swing with one out? Why are we going up looking to swing with the bases loaded? Why are we not just saying we're going to make this pitcher beat us? I understand if you have 2 strikes on you, you have to get defensive and defend the zone. I totally understand that. When you're ahead in the count, say 2-0, don't swing. Make him throw a strike. Please. Please. We don't need a hit first approach all the time, especially when we're down in a game, and especially when, let's just check to make sure I'm not wrong on this one. Yep, did not score in the 9th, when it is, at that point, an 11-7 game with the bases loaded. A walk's going to bring in another run. A base hit's probably going to score 2. You don't need these big cuts, and some of them were absolutely big cuts. And that's what just annoys me here, is you have guys that aren't bad. Even like Contreras, who did strike out 3 times, still brought in 2 runs that day. And he's a pretty good fielder, too. So he annoys me because it's like, please just don't home run cut every time. And it feels like a lot of them have almost like a home run mentality on some of these swings. And it's like, I implore you, please draw walks, base hit, small ball. I guarantee you are not the home run guy you think you are.
And we've also talked about the need for that at this ballpark.
Yes.
That's been an ongoing thing with us.
Yep. Granted, this was at Sioux City, so I will give them some credit there. But like, there's only one guy hitting home runs right now.
Habit is going to carry forward. That's the issue.
Yeah. And it's like you've hit 9 as a team in 12 games, and 4 of them have come from Jarius Richards in 9 games, which has been very good and is the kind of player you need in that ballpark, by the way, because he runs really fast. He has 9 walks in 9 games, and he struck out 8 times. I can live with the strikeouts when every walk turns into a stolen base too. So fine with that. But like, I'm getting upset about this because this team should be better than they are. This team is playing worse than they really are because it's some fundamental stuff here, and it's just an approach thing. Oh, God, so, I don't want to spend more time on them, but like, they're fascinating.
You've said it well. The crazy thing is, if you look at it just from like, they're pretty, a lot of it is. And as a Phillies fan, I see this a lot. It's just everybody's trying to do too much, and nobody's getting on and keeping it moving and handing it over to the next guy. And look, I think a lot of the time it might come back to, and this is me saying anything, I don't have any inside knowledge on this, but I often feel like it's a lack of confidence in your teammates. Sure, of course, everyone wants to put up their numbers and get out any ball, but like, putting up your numbers, getting a good on base percentage, that's hot in the streets too. That'll get you picked up a lot of the time too. But like, also just from like being a team player and winning vibe, like it almost feels like a lack of confidence that they're going to get picked up if they get on. And that's a weird thing too. I don't have much else to add on the Gary thing. I do want to mention before we move on.
11 and a quarter strikeouts a game for the Rail Cats. They strike out that much.
Kane County has 2 home runs, by the way.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to just do the usual bit here real quick, just so that way we can keep going. Gary got me derailed. Rail Cats off the rails.
Rail Cats. Yeah, there you go.
Dun-dun-dun. Here on the Railcat Broadcasting Network. Kyle Marmon continuing to be good. Sub-1 ERA, 1 whip. Great for him. Isaiah Gillum batting nearly 500, 5 home runs. On base and slugging also crazy for him. 6 walks, 14 Ks in 9 games, but I can live with the Ks when you're doing everything else. Series to watch last week, only one that wrapped up or was starting to wrap up was Kane County and Claiborne. Claiborne, as you could probably gather, has won all of those games by a total score of 4. They are +4 in those 3 games. So they're close, but they're winning them anyway. 3 series to watch this week. Fargo at The Sioux City Explorers could be a really fun one. Same thing with Lake Country at Kansas City. These are some of the top teams, and teams are all right in the same weight class fighting each other. That's this weekend, 23 through 25. And next week, look for Milwaukee at Chicago. That could be a big one for both of them to try and start to separate from the pack as the 27th through the 29th. Give you something to watch for here. Go to the Frontier League now. Kind of hard to start to separate things apart here, although I will say Jeff LaCory, 7 RBI game. Great for him this past week here. 4 hits, 4 runs, 7 ribbies, a double, and a home run also there too. So triple short cycle actually. So good for him. Justin Gideon, not to be outdone, having a game on the 16th, a game that we were talking quite a bit about, if you'll recall. And we are going to completely ignore the Quebec takes that we were doing last week. They may win 12 in a row, only to immediately lose the same day.
And lose bad.
Exactly. So that was a rough scene for us, but we're not going to acknowledge our own faults here. But yes, Gideon went 4 for 7 with a pair of home runs, 8 RBIs, 3 runs scored, and a double as well. And had a 24-hour stretch between 2 games in Windy City and 1 in Joliet, where he went 11 for 16 with 7 runs scored, 2 doubles, 5 home runs at 13 RBIs. He is rocking, I believe, now either a 12 or 13 game on base streak as well. Reached every single game this year. That's MVP type shit right there.
I'll shout out Emmanuel Tapia, 4 home runs in his last 4 games. 8 ribbies over that time, 4 walks. Yeah, doing work. Sure, 2 were in New Jersey. And I was kind of like, well, we'll see about it. But then he put up another 2 once he got back home. So that's good to see because once Tapia gets going, it's good.
Absolutely.
And let me see. There's a couple of guys that stuck out to me. Some of the guys on Florence have been crushing the ball. Javier and Rustich, whose name I always butcher, but that feels good. Yeah, they've been going at it. And let me see. I've seen a few guys. I'm a little low on time, so I'm just going to highlight some guys because we went way in depth on Australian baseball. Classic.
And Gary baseball too. So
yeah, Gunnar Kynes.
Gunnar Kynes got screwed out of a perfect game. Hit by pitch, base hit. Oh god,
sucks, dude.
For like a true indie ball guy too.
I know, right?
So bad.
Yep.
I needed that one. Still a great outing.
I wasn't watching that game, but yeah, that was a good bounce back outing too because he struggled his last one, so it was good to see. Villa Lobos kind of has sort of weird few games too, but
at the risk of just naming guys too, I will say Brothers for Essex County was he's been improving each start too. Curious to see how that continues. Would like to watch another one of his starts. Seen his first one at home, which wasn't great, but he has been getting better, so I'm curious to see how that develops. And I will again mention, can we fix the point streak page for the Frontier League? Not only update it, but also get rid of this conference standing. I don't care about that. Show me season standings, please.
Oh, yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
At the very least,
because it's the same. Well, yeah, that's the weird thing is it's the same. And there are teams who have played the other league and it doesn't show up differently. So, whatever.
Yeah. Which... Can we just say Gunnar Kynes, being from Myrtle Beach, is going to be one hell of a player coach for the future Myrtle Beach Independent League team?
Yeah, I had a note also just drop a future. Let's see about it. I think it was Blaine, Minnesota is a town popping up in my DMs a lot lately for a future American Association team.
I have things on that I'm not allowed to say, but
they're building a ballpark out there.
Yes, they are. Yes, interesting. Yes, they are. I have things that I am not allowed to say because I need 1 or 2 other people to tell me it before I can say confidently without throwing people under the bus.
Well, watch out because randoms in my DMs are probably getting ahead on this. So,
yeah, let's just say I'm very confident in their future in indie ball.
Yeah, I mean, I love that.
Confident.
Like, hey, don't tell me. It's like, how many times do you like, don't tell anybody this? And it's like, well. Someone from another team or a fan just told me this, so I don't have to tell you.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and probably report it.
Yeah, but any event, yeah. So Lake Erie has been a quiet killer so far early in the year. Liking what I'm seeing out of them. They are running ahead of Washington at the moment. Let's see if they can't keep that up. They have a series against Evansville this weekend. Could be very big for them. And they also have a series against Washington next week, which is my one to watch. Washington goes to Lake Erie for 27 through 28. That could be very big for this division. I'd also say Gateway Schaumburg. Schaumburg got a big extra inning win last night to try to salvage something out there, Evansville series, which was one of the ones to watch for last week. That one starts tonight. Gateway heads to Schaumburg. That's for this weekend. And then New York goes to Ottawa on the tails of a gutsy win against Quebec last night. Again, one to salvage that Northern series there. They really need to start picking up pace. They really, really do. Right now, the Miners are still in first, and we've talked about how we're very uncertain on how that's going to wind up going, but they are, this whole division right now, sitting around 4 or 5 wins. Miners are up at 8. They have a series against New Jersey starting tonight, so we're going to try to get up there either tonight or tomorrow, but that's a real opportunity for them to start to pad out a lead. So we will see there. New York needs to keep the pace now before it starts to get late early. So something to watch for. Pitching, while it's been great in the association, has been kind of mediocre around here as well. We'll discuss more about that next week. I know we're tight on time here, so I don't want to go too much into depth on it, but only one sub-3 team.
If anybody is like hurting for some Frontier League talk, I'm about to drop an episode probably tomorrow morning. I'll schedule to post where I went and gave like some early season grades on how these Frontier League teams have been. And it did strike me, by the way, that like both the new teams are at least halfway up the standings in their division, which is maybe it feels more impressive than it maybe is. Cause you know, if you were just told that straight off the bat, it wouldn't have included the fact that Windy City is an absolute garbage fire presently.
Whip it 2 for Windy City. Whip it 2 for Windy City.
Red alert, alert, alert. Base runners everywhere. Alert, alert. They are scoring.
They're also hitting about 306 off us and slugging nearly 500. So it's not exactly a fun time.
Man, say what you will about Windy City, but they sure can give up runs.
Yeah.
They sure are charitable.
Well, let me tell you about a team that can give up runs.
Talk about
on the flip
Chicago and giving away freebies. It's Oprah and the Windy City Thunderbolts.
Hey, the Chicago Dogs are giving some stuff up too. It really is a whole thing over there. But yes, so Frontier League is it's off to a start here. You got a short bag this week. We will try to reorganize where you fall in the order for next week. But
yeah, I think we'll get in the habit of you get shorted one week, you'll get picked up the next.
Exactly. So you will all see what comes. There are some interesting things here. Got a Mississippi Down East series this weekend too. That could be fun to watch. Yeah. Any quick thoughts on the Pioneer League before we get the hell out of here? Or
nope, because I definitely told Jackie I would make a nice coffee for her about an hour ago, and I completely forgot. So my physical safety depends on going downstairs.
All right, 3 games in. Be interesting so far. You'll get more talk next week. We'll reverse the order, so we'll start with Pioneer.
Actually, I have a Pioneer League episode dropping this weekend. Maybe I just did all this to promote my own stuff.
Machiavellian from the Wienermobile. All right. Really, it's the hot dog talk that screwed us this week. Oh, well. That's what wieners kind of do. They do wind up screwing you. So, on that note, I guess we will panically rush out the door here. Ryan, throw your plugs out so that way we can keep going.
Indie Ball Nation, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify. Well, no, any podcast platform. And then look for YouTube and podcast platforms for the Frontier League and Pioneer League episode. They're about to come out. And then anything else, I'm hoping to drop a couple more things this weekend. Just depends on how quick I can edit them. Like my opening weekend trip to Gastonia should hopefully come out this weekend.
Very good. At Indie Ball Pod on Twitter, Indie Ball Report everywhere else on all platforms. Keep an eye out for stuff. We're working on stuff, and the new content schedule comes out fairly soon, so we got to wrap up everything from the old one over the next 10 days or so that'll be fun for me. But yeah, that's something to keep an eye out for. So, gonna go into a lot more depth next week. we will have hopefully less news to talk about next week, and we'll be able to spend a lot more time on the actual play on the field. But it's been good baseball all the way around. And yes, that is the current setup. So, you know the drill. Until next time, don't forget to play ball.